Hi, guys. I'm back today with a guest that's going to share with us all about her spinal flow journey. Brandy, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Sarah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Me too. It's so wonderful to meet new people with this, and I I really don't know much about you, so let's just start there. Where are you joining us from, and what made you want to come on to the interview?
So I am in San Diego County, actually North County, San Diego,
Nice.
and I- any opportunity to talk about spinal flow, I'm there.
Love it. That's so cool. Okay, perfect. So sunny California, and I'm in Florida, sunny Florida. So that's kind of fun, opposite ends of the country. Um,
Yeah.
and and what is your like? Tell us a little bit about who you are. What's your background that led you up to becoming a spinal flow practitioner?
Okay. Well, buckle your seatbelts. It might take a minute.
That's fine. We got time.
All right. So I am a pharmaceutical research scientist, and I have been struggling with health symptoms for basically as long as I can remember. I'm one of those people that growing up, I struggled with childhood asthma, kind of led straight into a battle with acne in my teens and early 20s. And then I was relatively healthy for a while, even though it, it, even in that space, I still felt like something was off. And what's so interesting now is I journaled a lot when I was younger, and going back and referencing some of those earlier journals, I can find where I documented some of the symptoms of ultimately what I got diagnosed with in 2018,
Mhm.
which is an autoimmune thyroid condition.
Okay.
And from that diagnosis, it took 6 years to find a doctor who actually knew what the hell they were doing.
Mm, crazy.
And in that time, in that 6 year time frame, my health really spiraled downwards. At
Mm,
its worst, I was dealing with chronic UTI in addition to fatigue, migraine, weight gain, insomnia, night sweats, weird
gosh.
cycles, like all of the crap. And I was so caught up with the chronic UTI symptoms, which were just unrelenting, that I didn't have the bandwidth to deal with anything else. And during that time, so this was about 18 months, and I ultimately figured out what was going on. It was basically thyroid, insulin, and cortisol were all out of whack.
Yeah.
And that is what led me to find the practitioner that I'm now working with, because with an autoimmune thyroid condition, my body has attacked the thyroid to the point where it cannot make enough thyroid hormone. So I
Wow.
have to supplement with it externally.
Okay.
And in the process of, like, I pieced together a whole lot of stuff that had actually already gotten relief from the chronic UTI symptoms by the time I found him, already found relief from the fatigue, was already making major strides in some of these other major symptoms. Found this doctor, got like started to get titrated to the correct dosage of thyroid meds, and stuff started to improve, but it was still one of those things where it felt like I was playing a game of whack-a-mole. It felt like there was just something else that would pop up, like my neck was bothering me.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel well. And a
Hmm.
friend of mine, and in the meantime, going on alongside the kind of traditional Western medicine journey, I was doing all of the other stuff. I received acupuncture, myofascial therapy, Reiki, sound
Trying
therapy.
everything.
Exactly. Tried everything. And a friend of mine had told me about Spinal Flow, just casually mentioned it in a conversation, like, hey, I think you might ought to check this out. And I was like, okay, I'll file it away.
Yeah.
And then she happened to send me this picture of an elderly lady with the hunchback, that
Yeah.
kind of
Dowager's hump.
hypertrichosis.
Hmm.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That dowager's hump. And she sent me this before and after. And after I picked my jaw up off the floor, I Googled spinal flow practitioner in my area
Wow.
and scheduled my very first appointment. And here's where I'm going to say, like, here's where we're going to like introduce another modality for listeners. There was not a spinal flow practitioner close to me. There was a network spinal analysis practitioner close to me. And for anybody that isn't super familiar with those modalities, they're the practitioners will talk about them differently in terms of what they do. I can tell you, having received both therapies, they
Hmm.
work the same, even if the access points are different.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah,
Yeah. So
great.
I went in to see scheduled an appointment, went in to see this practitioner. From the first touch, I felt my body begin to unwind in a way that I have never experienced before, and I was hooked. And now that was actually March of 2024. Here we are talking in December of 2024. Not sure when the air date is, but right
Yeah.
now we're recording in December. And my health, who I am in every aspect of life, like how I show up in life, is completely different now than it was in March.
That's crazy. Like that sounds too good to be true. I mean, March to December, what, this 9 months? How, and then you've been dealing with this since you were a teenager, basically, or younger, right? Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I documented low thyroid back like in 2007. I mean, I was in my early 20s at the time, and I've got back in this journal. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was writing about it back then. And
Wow.
this was 11 years before I was diagnosed. So,
Wow, that is so incredible. Okay, so my mind's coming up with a million questions, but we'll try to take one at a time here. So well, first of all, are you a practitioner yourself? Did you get certified?
I am in the process of getting certified. I've cl- getting that 10th client
Good.
feedback form. Yeah. And
Good
one
for
more video.
you. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Okay, so you're clearly passionate about this.
Yes.
Um, Now, since Spinal Flow and Network Spinal, that's what it's called, right? Network Spinal. Okay. Since you had said that they're pretty similar, are you getting certified in Network Spinal also, or what made you, perhaps choose
Choose
one over the
spinal.
other? Hmm.
For network spinal, you have to be a chiropractor.
Mm,
So that was a non-starter for me. I mean,
okay.
I'm not going I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not putting that much time into this right now.
Yeah.
I want to get certified like yesterday. So, no, we're
Yeah.
going the spinal flow path.
Okay. Well, that's a clear answer. That makes sense. And how wonderful that, we can help people heal without having to go through all those years of doctorate schooling. That's pretty cool, and that you firsthand know that they're similar. um, okay, so can you explain, now that you are going through it, can you just try from your own sorry, Jedi, hush, hush, from your own explanation, why do you think it helped your thyroid?
Well, I think it helped the thyroid because one of the things about spinal flow that you're taught as you move through the program is how to feel. First of all, the spine is the back of the mind, and anything we take into the body that we can't process real time. And Sarah, I know you're nodding in agreement because you're like, oh yeah, yeah, I know where she's
I
going
just
with
love to
this.
hear how other people explain it. It's beautiful. So go ahead.
So if the spine is the back of the mind, and we store anything that we take into our body, whether that's food, whether it's physical trauma like falling off a horse, whiplash, the birth experience. I mean, the umbilical
Yeah.
was wrapped around my neck twice when I
Yeah.
was born.
Yeah.
I had to be delivered by C-section because of it,
Okay.
or emotional trauma even. And the way then basically we store that along our spine. And here it may not necessarily be in the spinal column itself. It could be in the connective tissue alongside the spine, or even in the muscles, depending on how long that insult or that stress has been there. And then what we do as spinal flow practitioners is we are accessing areas of ease along the spine within the nervous system itself. This is actually like, there is research around this showing
Mhm.
that it increases the flow of cerebrospinal fluid. That cerebrospinal fluid basically acts as a river to start moving all of this debris back out of the spinal column. CSF fluid drains into the lymphatic system. The body knows how to handle lymph. This is also why after a spinal flow session, your practitioner oftentimes will tell you, be sure you drink lots of water, be sure you get some movement in, because that helps move lymph, helps then lymph out, helps the body process and get rid of these toxins that we've been storing for so long. So
Good.
going back to your question of
Yeah.
why do I believe Spinal Flow or NSA helped my thyroid?
Right.
Once I started learning this, I could actually feel in my neck. I could feel that chemical stress. This feels like very much like inflammation. I am sensitive to a number of foods, especially gluten. Like I'm already on a gluten-free diet. I went much, much, much stricter in that as I started this path towards certification, and as I learned
Yeah.
more about feeling what that felt like and how much it really was impacting. And there was a lot of emotional stress as well
Mm-hmm.
in my neck that has definitely started to move. I definitely still have some stuff going on, both physical and emotional. Definitely less of the chemical, like the food
Yeah.
toxins and the inflammation, but still some stuff going on in the neck area.
That's incredible. Great job expressing, like, just from your own words, how it works, and that was beautiful. Thank you for that. So, so basically, to recap, you believe that you probably had blockages around your thyroid specifically, and like you mentioned, even from the time you were born, with the umbilical cord being wrapped around there, that was physical and probably emotional stressors. So you probably have
Right.
blockages way back from moment one, ground zero. And and when you have blockages, the brain's not able to communicate properly with that organ. And so tell us, I have goosebumps just thinking about your story. It's so powerful. So tell us, after your, first session, what did you actually like? Did you feel sensations? What did you feel while you were laying on the table?
Okay, I am a mover.
Okay.
I'm the one everybody wants on the table when they're doing a photo shoot.
That's awesome. Good.
I like, especially that first session, going back to it, it seriously felt like I wanted to lift the top half of my body up off of itself, turn it 180 so it's facing it backwards, and set it back down. That's the
Wow.
degree of unwinding I felt. Like, I liken my very first experience, I tell people, because I've seen clients now who have not had that kind of transformation
Right.
experience that I had. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, what's wrong with me as a
Yeah.
practitioner? And what I've realized is that I feel like when I went in to the practitioner, I was like a champagne bottle that you'd stored in the freezer and forgotten about,
Yeah.
pulled out, shaken up, and that's how ready that cork
Wow.
was to pop. So
Wow.
that's what I feel like was going on in my own body. That's
Yeah.
how tight and intense I feel like I was.
Hmm.
And I just think most people find spinal flow before they get to that point.
Wow. So not a moment too soon. You needed it bad.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Wow. Can you explain to people, since you are a mover, I'm not a mover. I wish I was, because it's more fun, right? It's more fun to watch. But I did have a moving experience. That sounds funny, but I had a movement experience when I had cranial sacral therapy done once, and that was so I can speak to it firsthand that it was nothing woo woo or you know crazy going on. I don't know, my muscles just started reacting, and my head lifted off and like started tweaking around, and my neck started doing this weird stuff. But it was like all an effortless feeling. Like, it didn't feel like my head was 8 pounds. It felt like it was like weightless. And my neck wasn't straining. It was just all happening on its own. It was an incredible feeling. So, can you explain to people what your experience is like as a mover?
I mean,
And did it freak you out when it first started happening?
it definitely did not freak me out. Um, it's one of those where it feels like there's nothing you can do to stop it. Like, you have to move. There's no amount of control that I would want to put on it. Like, to give you for instance, so even though I am a mover and I tend to move during most sessions, I am also perceptive, and I have also had emotional releases on the table.
Oh,
I have
good. Okay.
suppressed those emotional releases before
Okay.
because, like, I have felt the need to scream and
Mm-hmm.
to scream certain words
Mm-hmm.
during sessions before.
Mm-hmm.
And these are group sessions. So, where I received treatment at, and there was a child in the room, and I'm like, the child does not need to hear what I want to scream.
Yeah.
I paid
Okay.
for it
Yeah.
for
By
two
holding it in.
days with a headache, though.
Oh,
Like,
oh, that's
so it's one
sad.
of those that
Okay.
as it comes, you just do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's so much energy behind it, and the
Mm-hmm.
act of moving, and it is very much involuntary.
Okay.
Like, don't
So
control it, don't try to suppress it, just let it go.
you just gave me a very good idea moving forward, and maybe for other practitioners watching this, that maybe we really should have group sessions for adults only and group sessions for certain age groups, because never ever again would I want somebody to hold back or suppress it because, like you said, you paid for it with a headache. Um, and I have a client right now. I'd love you to speak on this for her sake. I'm going to have her watch this video. Um, she has told me we've actually gone more than 12 sessions with her. She's perceptive only, but she has a lot of emotional trauma. And she told me the last one or two times now, especially the last time, she said, I was about ready to lose it. I was so, like, if you had stayed on that access point another 3 seconds, I would have exploded. And she's like, but I'm so scared. I don't want to let go. So she was suppressing it. She was holding it back, holding it back. What can you tell her? Like, what does it feel like to let it go? I think she's afraid and maybe a little embarrassed.
It's I mean, I have had full, so I don't, first of all, I don't know what she feels the need, whether this is tears, because I have had full breakdowns
Yeah.
during the session before. And like, I've also had times where I just burst out into laughter. And I mean, like, disrupting the room kind of laughter. Like, and the thing is, like, my practitioner, she holds the space for anybody to do anything, and it's like, even when I wanted to scream, and it wasn't like I wanted to scream profanity, it
Mm-hmm.
was the message that I wanted to scream was not fit for other humans to hear. um and
I'm trying to process that. You mean like anger? Like or did you want to say something to
okay,
somebody?
this is what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I hate it here on planet Earth. Like, in that context,
I
why did
hate
you
it.
send me? I hate it here. Why
Uh,
did you send me? Like,
okay.
at the top of my lungs from
Yeah.
deep within.
That took a
That is
lot
the
of
message I
vulnerability
wanted
to
to.
admit that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and I did, like, I wish I'd let it out.
Yeah.
Um, I've had full breakdowns though on the table, and those I have not even tried to hold back. Like, it was coming
Yeah.
up, it was coming out, whether I meant for it to or not.
Good.
Um, I've had, even after the sessions, one of the most profound things that ever happened to me, my grandmother has been gone for a while now,
Hmm.
but after hours after a session, I actually got mad at her and yelled
Hmm.
at her for leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all the stuff that you've been burying and suppressing, it's
Yeah,
coming up and your body's finally processing it.
yeah,
And it wanted to probably when it occurred, but we live our lives and we just don't give ourselves a chance. So
yeah,
that's so
yeah.
powerful. Oh my
I
gosh.
think
Thank you.
I think for anybody on the table, like, for me, when I walk into a room, when I walk into my practitioner's clinic, I am there for me. I am
Mhm.
there for the healing that is going to happen. And most of the time, with that one exception, I don't care what comes up is coming out. And now that I've had that one session, that one
Yeah.
experience where I held it in,
Yeah.
I ain't keeping it in anymore. Like, it is coming out. I don't care
Yeah.
who's in the room, it's coming out.
Good, good. How can I encourage my client to let it out the next time? Like, did somebody open your mouth? Like physically open your mouth to let it out, or did they flip you over and do the heart opening on you, or were you just face down and it just bleh, just came out?
So I'm going to tell you, I really feel like it was from that first session. So my practitioner, Dr. Ann Jenkins, is who I see most for this.
Mm-hmm.
And the first session was about 3 hours in length.
Mm-hmm. With the
She,
initial
we had
eval and
the initial eval. We had a one-on-one where she asked questions about what I was holding in. And I told her
mm,
like all of the stuff I'd been,
good,
all the stuff for a lifetime. And I
good.
think that level of connection before I ever even got on the table,
Mm,
it created this it created this cocoon of safety basically.
yeah,
And
very
that
valuable.
is just carried because it is honestly us as practitioners, we are creating this space.
Hmm.
We are responsible for creating this space that is safe for
Yeah,
people to feel like they can express it. And so
yeah.
whatever that takes, whatever kind of openness it takes from us as practitioners,
Hmm.
um, whatever kind of encouragement, like whether this is words or whatever it may be while they're on the table,
Yeah,
being sure that there's tissues at every table, whatever it is, a
yeah.
screen pillow, like I think that's going to be part of my practice now,
That's actually a
including
really
screen
good
pillows at every
idea.
table.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're sharing your story, because for me as a practitioner, that's also just really good feedback, to make my initial evaluations really, really count. Make them,
Yeah,
a connection session more so than
exactly.
just, checking out their posture and where the blockages are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's amazing. Um, okay. So back to my friend, I just basically need to, or well, she's a friend also, but I just basically need to encourage her that it's a safe space and just to let it out because, as you were talking earlier, I also thought, so she's been in a lot of pain ever since that last session where she admitted to holding it back. That's probably why. That's probably why. So incredible. Wow. Um, how many How many times a week, people are going to wonder this, with the amount of healing that you've had, how many times a week do you go ever since March, to get sessions?
I was originally seeing my practitioner, so 2 sessions a week. Now, this is also something that is researched, where we are basically training our nervous system in each one of these sessions. And you can think of it just like you showing up to a classroom and how long your attention span is good for.
Good
There's
point.
documented evidence on this that about 20 to 30-minute sessions are optimal.
Hmm.
And beyond that, we're kind of like potentially overloading, potentially overtraining the nervous system. And what we
Hmm.
want to do is do these 20 to 30-minute sessions, pause, give the body and the nervous system a chance to integrate that, which really only takes about 20 minutes. And
Hmm.
then you can get back on the table for another session. And generally, that second session can be shorter because by that time you've kind of already dropped into your body. So it
Hmm.
doesn't take as long to kind of get in the state. So the second session is generally about 20 minutes. So when I first started receiving Spinal Flow or NSA Network Spinal,
Hmm.
I received 2 sessions a week back to back with a 20-minute interval in between.
Oh, wow.
Now, even though these sessions are nominally 20 to 30 minutes, when I had these breakdowns, I would be on the table for an hour and a half, however long it took to process through that. And it
Yeah.
didn't mean that my practitioner was working on me during that time. It was her holding the space, her stepping back, her working on other people in the room while I was over there having a breakdown.
Hmm. Hmm.
so,
Thanks
so
for painting that picture for us. Yeah, that's helpful to know.
yeah,
Did she come back and do more, access points on you at all, or she just simply like let you process on your own?
she let me process on my own. And once again, she's very much into how I've received, whether we're talking network spinal or whether we're talking spinal flow, how I've received it the most is in a group environment. And
Okay.
with that, it really is, my personal belief is this works better than one-on-one contact for a full session, because what you are doing is you are drawing the body's attention to this area of ease. You're awakening that innate healer. You're letting the body find itself while you aren't there. And then you're coming back, accessing another point, moving off, moving on to somebody else, coming back, accessing another point. So we're creating this wave and giving people the space to find and connect with themselves, which I think is so important. And just one thing to wrap up. So I was seeing my practitioner weekly. I would still be seeing her weekly if she offered that. Right now, her current schedule, she offers 2 weeks back to back with a 2-week gap. So I stack 8 sessions in that 2-week window. So I'm now receiving more, definitely more frequent therapy during the 2 weeks, but it's the same over the course of a month. I think 2 sessions per week back to back works well for a lot of people. I think you can achieve a lot of momentum with that pace. I'm going to be honest, 2 weeks off is too long for me. Like,
Yeah.
by the time I see her again, I've actually had a little bit of regression usually.
Sure, sure. Okay. I wonder why she chose that schedule, or if it's just for her personal life to have more balance in her life.
So I think one of the reasons she chose it, she is very much, not only does she practice NSA, she also practices something known as somatorespiratory integration, which is very complementary. Both were developed by the same guy.
Hmm.
Both are actually something that Dr. Carly incorporates into Spinal Flow. So
Hmm.
Dr. Carly kind of pulled, well,
The
I say
best of
both.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Carly definitely pulled from NSA. She pulled from like sacro-occipital technique and a few other modalities as well.
Yeah.
NSA is definitely in there. The somatorespiratory integration, that's not something that is like purely breath work, and that's not something necessarily within the spinal flow.
Okay.
And I think my practitioner chose these to allow her the opportunity to get continuing. Um, it's a way for her to continue her own training
Okay.
by seeing her mentor more frequently
That
in
makes sense.
those
That makes
times. Yeah.
sense. Okay.
Because I can tell you, since she started doing the 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, she's transformed a lot as a practitioner as well. Like
Nice.
she keeps going off to retreats and conferences and different
Good for
things, and then
her.
she comes back with new tools and new ways of doing things, and I'm like, holy cow, I thought you were incredible before.
So it's just making it better and better for everybody. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So are there more practitioners in your area now so that maybe you can fill in that 2-week gap with somebody else?
So this is also why I decided to become certified. There are definitely other spinal flow practitioners nearby that I've connected with since enrolling in the program, and we've met like several times on and off. And in addition to that, even though Dr. Carly says you can't do this therapy on yourself, I will be the first to tell you you absolutely can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy.
Well, and she does have a self-healing module. But I personally didn't feel like it was as effective as somebody else working on me.
It is
But
not nearly,
yeah,
you're absolutely right on that, about that. It is not nearly as effective. It's like a band-aid to get me through the next time I see you.
yeah. Okay, cool. No, so that's wonderful that you're going to be a practitioner and kind of help fill in some gaps. That it sounds like it's very much needed where you live, to have more people that are signing up. Yeah. Thank you also taking us back slightly. Thank you for giving your example and explanation for why group sessions are powerful. Um, it's interesting to me because there are some people that really insist on just the one-on-ones, but I keep trying to tell them that every single person I've worked on in a group session actually prefers the group over the one-on-one, like the people that have done both ways. And it's hard to explain to somebody. They're like, well, why would I want less time of practitioner on my access points? But you explained that very well. It's time for the body. It's like pouring water on a plant, right? And it puddles up on the top. It's that time for the water to sink in.
That's a beautiful analogy. And I can also tell you there have been times when I'm on the table, and this is generally that first session, and it's generally earlier on, and it's kind of like before you've really allowed yourself, because I mean we are seeking to shift our state of consciousness with these. We are seeking to get more in that alpha
Yeah.
brainwave. And there have been times when I'm on the table, and especially early, and usually during that first session, when there'll be several access points accessed like back to back. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, can you just move away from me? Like, I need a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, my full intention is after the first session, people don't have the option of choosing a private session anymore. They're moving into the group session.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually how I've structured my practice as well. It's more beneficial whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
so, so that's great. So nice to hear your testimony of that. Can you tell us back to your health, back, the autoimmune issue? You explained how it made you feel prior to getting spinal flow treatments. How do you feel nowadays? Like, what's the difference?
Well, first of all, so here's the thing about spinal flow. Your body is going to prioritize what it wants to prioritize, regardless of where you want it to put that effort.
So true.
Um, and the symptoms that I had specifically around the Hashimoto's were some of the last to clear.
Okay.
What I experienced first was feeling more present as I went about the day, feeling more joy in my life.
Mm.
For me, a lot of things go back to energy, and the body requires a certain amount of energy for basic function in any given day. And when you are depleted with your energy, you don't have enough to kind of spill over and
Yeah.
start filling up the other areas of life, and to
Yeah.
start filling up your cup of joy and just enjoying life.
Yeah.
And I I definitely have never even contemplated suicide or anything like that. I was to a point before receiving network spinal where it just felt like there was no magic left in this world.
Yeah.
It really just felt like, I mean, quite honestly, yeah, that's just how it felt. It felt like there's no magic. Like
Nothing to look
there's
forward
nothing left.
to, no hope, no it's what's it all for? It's all chores. Like life is just a big chore, right? Is that how it felt?
Not exact. It's almost like there's nothing here that's unexplored.
Mm.
Like,
Nothing new under the sun.
yeah, exactly. Nothing new under the sun. Why would you travel to the most why would you travel to the Swiss Alps when you could go to Colorado and see the exact same mountain range? Like, I've seen pictures of
Yeah.
both. They look identical. Why
Yeah.
bother?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
um, like kind of more that kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
started
What's the point?
receiving,
Yeah.
yeah. And I started receiving spinal flow, and it's like, oh, I get it. I bring the magic with me. Like, there
Mm.
is so much magic here, and it is so incredible here, and life is so good. And that was kind of the stuff that started shifting first.
Wow.
My view, my energy level, and like I say, not just because I'd already, by the time I started receiving spinal flow or network spinal, I was already to where I wasn't having fatigue like I
Yeah.
had been. Like,
Yeah.
I'd already increased my energy to at least that level.
Yeah.
But this just made it's like, oh, I've just got more energy, like, for all of these other things, to recognize the beauty of life and to recognize that we're actually here for a soul journey. It's not what goes on out there is incredible and all, and is what
Yeah.
you make of it. But the most incredible thing you will ever do in this life is what you do on your soul journey. And
Yeah.
then it got exciting.
Well, and they do say that the world is our mirror. It reflects what we are inside. So if inside you were feeling flat, empty, zestless for life, then of course outside was reflecting that back to you, right? So when you started, when you said this word, it hit me that way, like enjoying, right? Enjoy. You reconnected with that joy inside, and now externally you can see it and experience it as well. It's so cool. I love that so much. This has been such an incredible interview. And that's why I like to not know anything about my people before I interview them, because it's like unwrapping a present right before my eyes, like just discovering who you are and your experience is so fun. Um, so that was super delicious to hear about. Can you take us to the other things you started noticing?
Well, I was one of these people that if I turned my neck like this, people were looking to see who had the bubble wrap.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And and now I can turn my neck right, I can turn my neck left, and most of the time there's no
Yeah.
crunching.
Yeah. I
That's
noticed the
incredible.
same thing with myself. Yeah, I used to pop my neck before I went to sleep every night, and now it won't pop. I guess it doesn't need to. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. I've got more range of motion in how far I can move my neck with it not hurting.
Hmm.
I definitely have less frequent headaches. So
Good.
I've kind of gotten a I've kind of gotten like a graduate school level lesson in headaches over the past few years.
Yeah.
And when when I started when I first started receiving Spinal Flow, what I was experiencing is these headaches that felt like the energy was literally trapped in my head and couldn't get out.
Did you have
Um,
burning, like a burning sensation on your scalp? That's
no,
what I experienced. No?
I I didn't
Okay.
have that, but it felt like it was locked here. It
Okay.
felt like if I could just get it pushed down into the rest
Yeah.
of the body, like it would dissipate and it would release, but I
Got it.
couldn't get it out.
Okay.
Um, I mean, it's much different than, like I say, I've had lots of different kind of headaches. This one
Sure.
was particular for that time and space.
Yeah.
Um, so that was another thing that started improving, and definitely this was something that I noticed um, anytime I cheated with the diet, I would
Hmm.
I would definitely suffer from a headache and really started being more aware.
That
I think
dog is
that's
so
the other thing
cute.
too, is just the beauty of Spinal Flow and how much awareness it brings
Hmm.
to you about how everything you do throughout your day impacts your health so much and impacts how
Yeah.
you feel so much.
Yeah.
Um, so that was another one. Like I say, my relationships started changing, how I show up in the world started changing, how my how I communicate with others, like
Wow.
how open I am, changed and shifted.
Yeah, yeah, probably not guarding as much and just more centered and grounded. Did you notice these things on your own, or did you have to, like, did your practitioner have to draw them out of you at your re-eval time period and like help you realize that these subtle changes were happening?
Oh no, I knew.
You're very self-aware. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. Um, okay, so so your thyroid condition, do you still have a thyroid condition and it's just managed now with the spinal flow? Or how would you describe where you're at?
So it's not managed solely with Spinal Flow. I
Okay.
still have not enough thyroid function, so I absolutely have to be on supplemental thyroid hormone.
Okay.
Um, I will say that Spinal Flow has brought so much awareness because here's the thing about thyroid. Thyroid never goes out of balance by itself. Thyroid will take with it insulin and cortisol like
Mm,
faster than you can blink.
okay.
And I really feel like I have the agency and the wherewithal. Like I'd already pieced together when we're talking hormone health, I know more than just about anybody on the planet, and I
I
will
bet.
go head to head with anybody.
Yeah. And
Seriously about this.
what is your career again? Say your title again.
Well, I'm a pharmaceutical research scientist,
See,
but
there you
I
go.
am self-taught in hormone health, and
Right. Well, that's what I'm
just
saying.
from
Like it just goes hand in hand. You're a research
yeah,
scientist. That's pretty
yeah,
cool. So yeah, of course
yeah,
you research the crap out of this.
yeah, definitely, and I really feel this is part of that liberating energy. This is part of that. We don't have to use so much energy to hold ourselves upright anymore because
Yeah.
our posture is just naturally in better alignment as we start to release all of this stuff. So
Mm,
that extra energy has like gone towards like piecing together all of these things that I don't know I would have seen. Because I mean, the poring over the research is one thing, but actually connecting all the dots is something different. And having the extra energy to start piecing together and putting together the puzzle has
yeah.
been really beautiful. And I mean, just over the past couple of months, even, I have made so many other connections that
Yeah.
I don't know I would have made if I hadn't been receiving this regularly and routinely. And I'm going to tell you something else. It's not just the physical benefits and the like mental benefits for spinal flow. I have had spiritual episodes on the table.
Yeah.
Like I mean, there have been some incredibly profound
Hmm.
things that have happened on the table that are just so beautiful um, and so incredible. And
Wow.
uh, I I've started writing for the Universe Talks, so I'll be covering more of those in future posts on there.
Yeah. That's so cool. Oh my goodness. So when you become certified, do you see yourself working with everybody and anybody, or do you see yourself perhaps niching down to working with people that are dealing with exactly what you were dealing with?
I I really, this is going to sound odd. I want to work with autistic children.
That doesn't sound odd at all to me. No, that's kind of what I was expecting you to say. Not necessarily autism, but that you were passionate about niching down. Hmm.
Yeah. Autism, ADD, anxiety, and autoimmune. So, like the four A's.
Okay. I love that. You know what? You're going to be so successful being in San Diego County. Oh my gosh. I mean, all the people that are going to need your help and that they all, it's a highly populated area. You're going to change lives. I'm so excited for you. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
me too. I'm just, I couldn't be happier with how all of this is unfolding.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, you tell me if somebody wants to reach out to you, to just learn more from you or stay connected for as soon as you're, certified and you can start accepting patients. Are you okay with sharing information here
Yeah,
for them to do that?
absolutely.
Okay, go ahead and we'll put it in the show notes and put it up on the screen as well.
Okay. So, I have a website already, theflowtoheal.com. I'm
Say it again.
also the Flow to Heal.
Theflowtoheal.com.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. I'm also on YouTube at the Flow to Heal.
Yay, good
YouTube.com
job.
slash the Flow to Heal. And the email address as well is hey, as in HEY, at theflowtoheal.com.
I love that. Okay, so you are just geared up and ready to hit the ground running. That's so great. Oh my gosh. Well, everybody that's in the San Diego County area and beyond, she is worth traveling to because you're so passionate about this and you've had firsthand success. And yeah, I mean, if I lived near there, I'd definitely be wanting to go to you and trade and get some healing done. So, is there anything that I didn't ask that you would like to share just to cover?
Nothing's popping up.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. We'll leave it as it is for now then. This was incredible. It was so inspiring. I cannot wait to share this with as many people as possible. Viewers out there that have listened to Brandy's story, please share this with other people that are going through the 4 A's. Can you list those A's again?
Yes. Autism, ADD, autoimmune, and anxiety.
Okay, thank you. And as you have learned on other videos as well, Spinal Flow helps literally everything. But if you happen to know somebody that's dealing with those things in particular, um, Brandy is your girl. Sorry, my brain just was like, what? Okay. But yeah, and search out her website. And this has been incredible. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
Have a good one.